fire. A TV6 News special report.
This is the aftermath of the Tower Lake fire. Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Asplin. I'm in western Marquette County's Humboldt Township, which was just one of the areas touched by the 5,600-acre fire. The flames are out, firefighters are gone, but there is still a danger in the woods. 7 of 8 ORV bridges have been burned and destroyed, and there are snags like this, a tree that could easily fall over, hitting a person or equipment. Now, the situation is all this started due to an illegal campfire. During the next half hour, we'll show you day by day the battle firefighters, support agencies, and homeowners endured. It all started the afternoon of May 2nd. TV6's Lee Ross was on the fire line that first day.
About 4:30 Sunday afternoon, a wildfire was reported near Marquette County Road 601 in Tower Lake. That fire soon spread across the parched landscape and crossed over to the western side of Michigan Highway 95. That was where firefighters were trying to contain the blaze from 3 homes alongside Granite Lake. More than 120 people are on the scene fighting the blaze. They represent Marquette County emergency personnel and nearly 10 volunteer fire departments from all across the central Upper Peninsula. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources are spearheading the fight.
Okay, the strategy right now is we're trying to flank the fire, and we're flanking the fire to pinch off the head. And hopefully we can accomplish that. We've got several dozers working both flanks right now.
McDonald added that in the early stages of the firefighting, no one was injured, and the only known structure to burn down is a house trailer. As the sun made its way down, firefighters were optimistic that with cooler overnight temperatures, the fire would be contained by morning. By 11 o'clock that night, they had stopped the fire's progress as the night crew went to task on the fire. One fighter says he battled wildfires in the same spot a dozen years ago, and just like then, the underlying swampland and rock makes the going very difficult. Lee Ross, TV6 News, Republic.
This fire was fueled by an extremely dry forest and strong winds. By Monday, it was out of control. It was moving fast, burning up 2,000 acres in at least 4 separate areas. This video shows the main fire west of M95 toward Champion and south of US 41. Marquette County Board Chairman Gerald Corkin declared a state of emergency. The conditions were harsh and Mother Nature didn't help matters throughout Monday. TV6's Lee Ross continues the story on efforts to knock down the Tower Lake fire.
These 3 DNR firefighters were positioned alongside Michigan Highway 95, trying to keep Monday morning's fires on the western side of the road. This location typifies the overall plan of attack for the scores of fighters spread out over hundreds of acres of western Marquette County forest land. Their job was to simply contain the blaze on the other side of the road.
We're trying to stop it right here. This is the southwest corner, and if we stop it here, I think we can contain the whole thing.
What happens if it goes to the other side of the road?
We'll chase it to Beriga.
Some 15 minutes later, embers began flying over to the east of M95. The winds blowing up to 30 miles an hour, and the parched landscape were too much for the fighters to overcome.
The greater the wind, the more oxygen that reaches the fire, the hotter it burns, the more likely trees are to torch. Then when trees torch, they release a bunch of coals and embers that then are spread farther by the wind.
Sunday, firefighters were at this house along Granite Lake, and today you could see how close the flames came, but the house made it. Others weren't so fortunate. At least 1 house trailer and 2 camps have burned down, and several private vehicles have been lost.
By Monday afternoon, major highways were closed, including M95. Roadblocks were placed at US 41 south to Republic, and US 41 was closed west to the Beriga County line. Also, County Road 601 and 478 were closed. Then it went from bad to worse. Flare-ups off the Gwin at Anderson Lake and at the Wawanoan Golf Course in Ishpeming Township. DNR and local firefighters put down both fires in quick order. Fire scorched about 30 acres near Anderson Lake. The fire at Wawanoan burned up a golf cart shed and 20 acres. Both fires were started by downed power lines igniting tinder-dry forests. Residents around the golf course were evacuated, but the bulk of the evacuations occurred from M95 west through and including Champion. TV6's Shannon Lucky was with those heading out as the fire was closing in.
People in western Marquette County had only minutes to gather up their most cherished belongings and leave their homes.
I took some pictures, like of my kids, and Then I took some jewelry that I had, mostly custom jewelry.
Evacuees ushered family pets into cars. Some people tried to fit as much as they could into their cars and trucks, not knowing if they would ever see their homes again. A number of people drove off in motorhomes, ensuring they'll have a place to stay in case of the worst. Police went door to door ordering people out. Mark Tram buses were at the ready for people who had no ride.
This is an evacuation. This is you leave because this is you're in the path of the fire. We need people to get out of their houses and get to safety.
The evacuees headed for shelters like the one set up at Westwood High School, the Michigami Spur Community Center, and the Republic Township Hall. Shannon Lucky, TV6 News, Marquette County.
By Monday night, the fire was still moving to the northwest and weather conditions were not improving. Coming up, Tuesday's firefight would prove to be the turning point. The fire was spreading and they had to hold it south of US 41. The air attack when we come back. Tuesday morning dawned with more of the same, warm and dry and winds picking up throughout the day. It was now day 3 of the firefight. The strategy, stay on top of the fire and keep damage to a minimum. But as Lee Ross reports, you can only battle Mother Nature so hard.
The main western Marquette County fires spread out over thousands of acres, and all throughout that rugged wilderness are small spot fires like this one. For the third straight day, winds were coming from the south-southwest, forcing the path of the blaze toward the homes and camps along Perch and Fish Lakes, heading straight towards the abandoned town of Champion.
I feel good today with the air support. Obviously, yesterday we couldn't keep up with the fire. We're hoping today with the air support that as the things develop, as the spots develop, that we can get on them, hit them right away.
At this hot spot on the south end of Fish Lake, at least a dozen DNR and Champion Township firefighters worked to stop the fire before it made it to this camp. Minutes earlier, a plane with a 500-gallon tank dropped a foam-based liquid to temporarily save the structure.
They made a direct hit with the foam, not only splattering the Champion fire truck, but also splattering the fire. Knocked it down enough for us to get in there with shovels and water packs to put out the hot spots.
A DNR officer in charge of the situation says when the fire is as widespread as this one is, the only thing they can do is try and save the homes. But with strong winds and dry timberlands, no home is safe. That point is especially clear to the owner of this house, where everything left behind is in ruin and sits as an unwelcome return home.
Firefighters needed a lot of help, and it came from the air. Water tankers from Wisconsin and Ontario and a Minnesota plane able to drop fire retardant answered the call. The largest Canadian aircraft carried over 7 tons of water per drop. It took 4.5 minutes to fill with water, drop it on the fire, and return to the lake for another load. The 2 planes were scooping water from Lake Michigami.
The wind is blowing right towards a little town, lots of houses. There's houses in the bush along the edge of lakes. It's mixed in with all the houses. Say with the wind and the dry conditions, it's moving along pretty good there in places, but we've pounded it down pretty good, and it should be okay for tonight anyways. I'm not sure what tomorrow will bring though.
With the air tankers overhead, firefighters were pounding the ground foot by foot under very difficult conditions. The fate of Champion hung in the balance. TV6's Shannon Lucky takes us through the firefight Tuesday night.
With hose crews and that, it's really tough to bring down a big fire. You know, you think you got it contained and then you don't. It's been hit and miss and chasing fire and that, trying to keep it out of town, and it is our town.
The Champion Fire Department worked at the head of the fire as it inched toward town. Other volunteer firefighters stationed themselves in Champion to keep an eye on the fire in case it closed in from the sides.
Looking for hot spots, trying to keep an eye on where it's going, which way the wind's going to push it. That's about it. Trying to take orders and see what we can do to prevent it from taking any structures down.
But there's more to contend with than homes and camps out here. There's also the timberland, much of it valuable and much of it burned. And it's not just the standing trees in the forest, but a lot of the hardwoods and the pulpwoods that have already been cut to be used. Authorities don't have estimates on property damages yet. They say their people are too busy trying to battle the blaze to tally up numbers right now. But things did get a lot easier for them in the afternoon when reinforcements arrived.
When the planes started flying over us today, it sure made a big difference.
The air support, the 2 air tankers that came in from Minnesota. Timing was perfect. The air tankers are fixed-wing aircraft that drop retardant onto the fire, and they were able to contain that crowning fire heading for the town of Champion. There's no doubt in my mind that we would have been picking up the pieces in Champion today if it hadn't been for that.
Although the danger is much less now, there's no word on when Champion residents and other evacuees will be able to return home. Shannon Lucky, TV6 News, Marquette County.
By late Tuesday night, DNR officials were feeling pretty good. The fire was slowing down. The 4 planes that had been dropping water and fire retardant had knocked down the head of the fire, and the temperature was going down while the moisture in the air was going up, and winds were settling down for the night. Wednesday, the fire was still only 20% contained. 3 helicopters were brought in to dump water on hot spots, hoping to stop the fire from advancing. Officials now had the upper hand. Damage assessments were underway. 8 buildings were destroyed and 23 saved. Both the Nice Community Schools and Republic Michigami schools were reopening Thursday. With the arrival of Thursday, it was a welcome sight for firefighters. Prayers were finally answered. Welcome back. May 6th was rain day. A steady rain fell throughout Thursday, soaking the forest. It's just what firefighters had wanted for their mop-up operations. The forest fire was now 75% contained, and all major highways and county roads were now open. But as TV6's Marisa Reyes found, there were still safety concerns in the forest.
The job of the fire officials Thursday was to clear away dead or hollow trees that were in the fire. This task prevented some fire evacuees from returning to their homes.
The fire can actually further destabilize them, and wind can possibly blow those trees down. If those trees are blown down while someone's in their backyard, they could be hurt or even killed.
Finally, after a month, the UP's received a good rain, which forecasters say will be helpful to making the fire situation better. But due to the sloppy road conditions, getting in and out of the area was difficult. DNR officials say the wildfire that started Sunday is still not out. Just because some rain has fallen, it doesn't mean the area is completely safe.
Well, there's a lot of unburned material within the perimeter of the fire. It is possible in some of the areas, if we don't finish the effort, that if it were to dry out again in next week, that we could have a flare-up.
According to forecasters, the steady rain should continue throughout much of the weekend, which should make the fire situation better.
This is the best weather you could possibly have for fighting fires and for keeping the fire danger down with all the moisture that we have and the fog and the drizzle and the areas of rain. This is the best type of weather you could have.
During the 5-day firefight, the intersection of US 41 and M95 was used as a staging area. There was a virtual army involved in the campaign to put the fire out. As the saying goes, an army runs on its stomach. TV6's Liz Flynn talks with those on the support crews that kept the firefighters going.
Volunteers have been working around the clock since the fires broke out Sunday in western Marquette County. Countless helpers have prepared and served about 3,500 meals to emergency workers and evacuees. Donated food and supplies is coming in from hundreds of businesses and organizations.
Almost like a message from the Lord that we have to have some type of calamity where people unite and come together. And this is really wonderful because it's been happening right here.
We have had wonderful responses from all the different churches, from all the different businesses, the restaurants, wholesalers, lumber companies, just almost anybody that you can think of has contacted our agency and have been willing to donate.
Others contributed space, shelter for evacuees, even refrigerated storage for donated food.
We've just provided whatever people ask for. Somebody comes in and says, hey, we need this or we need that. We do what we can do to meet the needs. The Salvation Army is providing a lot of the raw materials, and we're just helping out with whatever else they need.
What's needed now is help for many food pantries. Even the Salvation Army has almost exhausted its emergency supplies.
The supplies that we have left right now are cups and Gatorade. The Gatorade has just been donated, but it will be going out this afternoon.
The Salvation Army is looking for financial help to replenish its food stocks and cash reserves. This was a costly fire, and there is help coming from the federal government. That story is straight ahead, along with the aftermath of the Tower Lake fire. Fighting wildfires is dangerous. It's also expensive. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, is there to help. Senator Carl Levin says FEMA will pick up 70% of the state's tab once the minimum expenses have been met. In this case, that's $464,000. The DNR bill alone right now totals over $500,000. But money can't replace everything. As the last of the fire evacuees returned home last Friday, they had found their camps had been burned down and a part of family history was lost. Some roads and bridges in the 5,600-acre burn area had also been destroyed. TV6's Shannon Lucky reports on what they found.
Roads were open today, but difficult to pass in parts. The DNR's heavy firefighting equipment left some roads mucky, and the wind knocked dead trees onto roads. But property owners were glad to get back to their land.
Well, it's nice to be back. I mean, the threat of the fire is gone. As you can see, the fire is burned around here, and fire came within about 50 yards on one side. If it hadn't been for the vigilance of our township supervisor, it probably would not have been caught.
Not everyone was so lucky. The DNR says only 8 buildings were affected by the fire, all a total loss. One insurance adjuster was busy reconstructing camps from their burnt shells. He says his clients' losses are hard to measure.
Mostly they're saddened about the fact that they've lost a lot of photos and personal effects that they'll never be able to replace.
My sincere condolences to the community. I apologize for having to evacuate the residents, but that's something that I had to do.
Although police are letting people back into the evacuated fire area, they're advising that you use extreme caution, and they don't want people traveling at night. That's because they may not be able to see serious safety hazards like this burned out bridge. Shannon Lucky, TV6 News, Marquette County.
The Tower Lake fire lasted for 6 days. Property was destroyed and so were some homes, but no lives were lost.
They did an exceptional job out here. Just looking at the safety record of the accidents out here, there was very minimal people that got hurt, nothing seriously, just a sprained knee and a sprained ankle on one of the crews. It was a combined effort with the DNR and the volunteers. Our air resources did a wonderful job, and Mother Nature came in and also gave us a hand with the rain. One thing we would like to express to the people to try and have their buildings fireproofed, and that means moving their wood piles away from their structures, raking, cutting the grass, getting the small conifers away. I think that's what saved a lot of the buildings, is some of the people had taken that precaution, and identifying a good road for the fire departments, making sure there's access to these buildings would help. Having defensible space when these fire departments get down there that they can set up and actually put this, suppress any fire around their buildings.
We talked with a lot of firefighters about what they did. Most say it was just part of their job. They give most of the credit to those behind the scenes.
I was really proud of the way the community came up and really supported our team of firefighters here. And I was proud of the way that the fire department gathered together and that the way that they really worked together as a team to fight this fire. And I was proud of the organization that Dave Elaine showed in getting all of the group of, a lot of women came out to help support us and feed us. And I tell you, without them, there's no way we could have fought the fire as effectively as we did.
Biggest thing, beside for us, as far as keeping up the positive mental attitude of being able to beat this thing, is a lot of it was the support we got behind the scenes as well, providing us with drinks and foods. And every time we came in to get water or fuel, they were giving us words of encouragement, like, you guys are doing a great job. We really appreciate everything you're doing. And that made it a lot easier to go back out there and fight this thing, and being able to save somebody's camp or their home and, keep their property from going up in smoke, that gives a person a good feeling inside.
As we close out this program, you'll see the names of businesses and agencies that played a key role in fighting the Tower Lake fire. Thanks to all. Make it a safe summer. I'm Steve Asplund. Good night.